Welcome to this new episode of Outbound Genius. Today we have Brandon in this new episode. So basically this episode will highlight how Brandon leverage Outbound for his company, and I will let him introduce himself after. So Outbound Genius is a podcast where we interview experts in the field of outbound. We trust that the entry barrier at outbound have increased in the last few years, and that while people like Brandon need a real expertise and real strong focus on these specific skills to make the outbound great again. So Brandon, welcome to this podcast. I will let you introduce yourself and we can go through the interview right after.
Sweet. Thank you, Julian, for the introduction. To everyone else, good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Brandon Bester. I've kind of been working in the marketing field for almost more than 5 years now. I've kind of been everywhere in the company, from corporate to startup. I originally started in corporate, moved away from that because it just wasn't for me. It wasn't the politics and everything wasn't there. But since then, I've kind of delved into marketing completely. It's what I do for a living now. I started with small scale stuff, and then I worked it up to a bigger management position. I moved away from that to start my own company, and since kind of pivoted into email marketing. I've done paid ads, I've done SEO, I've done really everything. I even put my hand into social media, which I'm not too keen on. I tend to avoid that. I let the other experts handle that. But nowadays, I do full scale marketing that primarily implies email marketing. That's my pivot. Email marketing in the sense of private email marketing, where it is for our own customers, our own list and everything. We also do outbound strategies. We also do cold emailing. We used to do cold calling and SMSing, but it hasn't been that applicable in the recent years, but kind of been everywhere. So I think I have some experience in this industry.
That's amazing. Last question for the quick introduction about yourself. Where are you located?
I currently live in Abu Dhabi, which for people that aren't aware, it's an hour away from Dubai. So yeah. That's
really great. So we really can see that marketing need to be applied everywhere, and Outbound have their own benefit in all the country around the world. Really great. So what made you decide to start using Outbound as a strategy?
Realistically, for any company and even my own, it kind of started with the thing is you only have so many owned lists. You only have so many owned customers, and then you have to consider either doing ads or doing some sort of outbound or doing some sort of other marketing technique. Realistically, if you're scaling, you're going to be doing a little bit of everything. But outbound strategies, realistically, especially in email marketing side of things, cold emailing, like I said previously, cold calling, and all these approaches, they work. It just has to be very targeted. It has to be very focused. It kind of has to be aligned as well with what you're doing and what you're offering for the customer or potential customer in this case, right? So I think that's kind of the situation on why outbound has become way more critical. Because as well, ads get expensive depending on the time of year. So it's kind of playing the field.
True, exactly. And you mentioned it, like the ad getting expensive. And I think we experience the same in the outbound expertise, to have deliverability that is higher to achieve and to get reply rate that is higher to achieve. So what is the biggest challenge for you when it comes to outbound?
A few things. I think the key takeaways would be finding good quality leads, because you could find massive lists. You could reach out to 1 million people, but if only 10 of them respond, you could as well have just called up 5 of your neighbors, right? It's kind of a logic there. So I think the key thing is there, finding good quality potential leads, and then also just offer matching. You know, someone that's buying cookies doesn't want to be sold in jet engine. It's you kind of want to see what you're offering to the people and making sure it reaches their inbox so they could see that offer. That's kind of the hardest struggle, I'd say, right now.
Exactly. So have you ever found any solution that help you to achieve such a precise targeting with the right value proposition in front of the right people?
To an extent, it's still difficult. It's getting harder, but there's certain outbound strategies that we can incorporate and do incorporate. Targeted list growth, right? Like finding the people that are actually applicable to what you're trying to sell. There's cycling. There's also sending at certain times, certain days, certain peaks of the year. So there's a mix. There's a very big mixture in that pot, right, of trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. And sometimes you fall face flat and you're like, what happened? Even though it just worked recently.
Indeed. So, what should the ideal solution be able to do to make your life easier and make the outbound really effective?
I think, like you mentioned, Julian, a key part is making sure it lands in front of the right people. It's part of sales. It's part of outbound. It's part of everything. If your message doesn't even reach the person, then you're gonna have problems, right? Because you're like throwing clay against the wall, hoping it sticks. So making sure that your deliverability and compliance is there, but then also making sure your offer matches, and then making sure to who you're sending the list. They're clean lists. They're we don't have junky emails. We don't spend money for no reason. I think that's key part of what you look for in a good service. From a software's perspective, there's like UI complaints and stuff like that, but the key point is, does your email reach the intended user? Yes or no, right? It doesn't matter how it looks like, if it looks like Microsoft 2010.
Exactly, but eventually what is important is how do you source the lead, because this is the very biggest pain point that exists at that moment, is how do you find the people that have the right intent with the right problem, that the solution we are solving.
Exactly. And then reaching them, because you have them and you need to reach them, right?
Correct. How would you approach that as a software to actually source the right people?
Well, we live in an internet economy, right? So there's a lot of touch points. It's generally, from a sourcing perspective, you really need to go to first develop your customer profile. What is the customer you're trying to sell to, right? Like I said earlier with the baker example, if you want to sell to bakers, you should go to baker communities. You should go to Reddit, social media, wherever they are. In regards to sourcing, that's probably where you're going to find your best quality. They're not going to be as cold. They're going to be a lot more hot qualified.
Exactly. And if they qualify, they're aware of the problem that you're solving and will be way more likely to understand what you have to offer as well. And if they understand and they have the problem, this is where you actually achieve very high conversion rate, correct?
Exactly, right.
Great. So how do you define the importance of the outbound in your overall strategy? Is that like 50% with the inbound content marketing and stuff, or how do you apply that currently?
I would say it depends kind of on your company size. It depends on where you're working, because some companies, some industries depend a lot more on it. And I think it's super crucial for certain industries that need it like 100%. For me, it's a little bit of a pot that's stewing, because I do work right in all avenues of marketing right now. So for me, I do email marketing. I do the outbound. I manage a number of people in regards to what they do as well. So I'm kind of all over the place. But I think the key takeaway is, if you're a company looking to scale and you're a company that hasn't quite found their message, their market fit, then it's very essential, because you're not going to grow without figuring out what you need to sell and how to sell it.
Exactly, that the key essential component of the strategy. And you seems to have multiple venture under your cover currently. How many leads do you usually handle each month?
Depends on the peak of the year. There's certain times of the year where we upscale it, and there's certain times of the year where we're too busy with other things. So I would say on an average during a peak, qualified leads, probably around, in a month's time, I'd say 18 to 25 maybe qualified leads. That's like they're in the pipeline and everything. Around list size, we work with huge lists. I'm not going to delve into that, but we're everywhere. So we try to work with big lists, small list, any list.
All right. So, what is the number of email you send per outbound email specifically, if you have that number in mind?
Let's take a recent peak. I think we sent around probably 400,000 or so. In our last peak, we had a qualified lead. It was a good conversion. I think surprisingly good actually for us. But yeah, like I said, it fluctuates. Sometimes we do list size of 20K. Sometimes we do 300. Sometimes we do 500, like 500 independently and 500,000. It depends on the time of year.
Okay, very interesting. So you work with really big account, big number of lists. So that's plenty of emails that you're sending. Real expertise here. And I think this is a really trendy question. How do you use and do you use AI in your strategy?
I mean, AI has now been everywhere. Every stage of the business in marketing now has some sort of AI kind of incorporated into it. We've experimented with AI for pattern tracking. So essentially, out of all the emails that we've sent, where kind of have the hotspots been, which countries. We've used AI to try to utilize that data because we try to collect that data and try to sample it through AI. We've used AI to personalize subject lines. We've kind of used AI to mass first lines. So yeah, AI is everywhere. I think it's in all marketing subcategories, right? It's in ads, it's in normal email marketing, it's in social media marketing. So AI is very prominent, I'd say.
Yeah, we cannot get rid of it anymore, and it will remain for the next decade, I believe. And happy for us, right? It only make our life easier.
Yeah, I mean, rather embrace it than try to fight it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not going to go against a artificially $1 million trained computer.
No chance we win over the machine, right? All right. So I think the last question is coming. I think we all know the answer for that one, but it might be surprising. What is your go-to outbound channel?
Channel?
Yeah.
I mean, very ironically, with the sites that we work with, it's email, of course. Email is primarily, we've used LinkedIn for more of our B2B connects. I would say that's probably a little bit better for sourcing and reaching out to working professionals and B2B. If you're working from a B2C standpoint, you're probably doing email. And if you're really, really desperate, you're calling people. So
Exactly. B2C calling people? Wow. For B2C, you're calling people?
Yeah, I mean, wow. Especially in the US. It depends on the ticket. If the tickets are higher, then we dedicate. Yeah.
Okay. Very great to have those inside. I never cool thought about that. I'm currently living in Bangkok, so whenever call I get every day, I don't understand what they're saying on the phone. So perhaps I do have some people that are selling me stuff that
that's exactly where they're not doing it right? If they're selling in Bangkok, they need a guy that speaks your language.
Exactly. Eventually, AI going to help that because they're going to be able to do the script, and the AI speaks all the languages, all right? So eventually, I will get targeted with the right value proposition, and that will help me to make the right decision or help me to go faster in my buying process as well.
Yeah, 100%. You might even be confused if it's an AI or not. You're like, hello?
Perhaps someday you could be at the beach and still be on podcast or discovery call with people while being at 10 times on call, right?
Yeah.
All right, very good. Do you want to add anything, any promotion about your services, your audiences, if you have anything to share, where people can follow you, anything you would like to share before we end this episode?
All right, thanks for that, Julian. I think the key things that I'd like to promote is where I work now is email marketing. That's what I do. I do it professionally. I do it for clients of all scale, not so much super small scale anymore. We've kind of moved away from that. So if you're a company that's generating anywhere from 100 to $1 million plus a month, and you're looking to do your email marketing right, 20 to 30% of your total store revenue coming from email marketing, which is exactly where you want to be, because email marketing, as most know, is the best ROI for your money. So unlike ads where you spend a lot and make less, contact me. And I think the best way to reach me is probably LinkedIn. I think my LinkedIn is @BrennInvestor, similar to my name. And if you want to send me an email, then you could always just do that as well. And I think that's primarily the key socials I use. I do have a website as well. I think it's bbmarketing.me. So yeah, reach out if you are serious about making some money in your emails.
Very good. Thank you very much. And indeed, I think according to what we observe and stuff, Outbound allow you to make predictable pipeline, and that's the power of that. Thank you very much, and let's get in touch. All the link will be around for get in touch with Brendan, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.
Your advice.